So that was the most like fun but challenging thing to know that, every night in, night out, no matter how talented a team may be, if they're more talented than yours, it's going to be a dogfight.
Yes.
At the highest level, facilities, the cafeteria was solely for athletes. They had one solely for athletes, so it was kind of top notch at that level. So I know I had to get, a major procedure done, and that's where I'm at now, being here, back in Springfield, recovering and getting back. It's called THW, stands for the humble way. Listen, I've been singing since I was a kid. Find that light wherever it may be.
Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Herman Senior II, where I like to meet with influential guests and positive leaders. Today we have Jamir Harris.
What's going on, everybody?
Yeah, Jamir is a professional basketball player going on his third year pro, and lucky to have him here.
Thank you for having me. It means the world.
All right, so Jamir, tell the people about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm from North Brunswick, New Jersey. Born and raised, North Brunswick, New Jersey.
Tell us about a little bit about New Jersey. Like, we're in Springfield right now. What's different on the East Coast compared to the Midwest?
I would say basketball definitely is, the mecca of New Jersey. It's a lot of elite hoopers that have came out of New Jersey. It's very gritty, and that's where I'm from. So, I kind of carry that with me wherever I go. So bringing it to Illinois, I have that Jersey feel with me wherever I go.
So you wouldn't say like we play baseball, we play football, a little bit of soccer. You wouldn't say it's out there like that. It's there, but basketball's king.
I would say the other sports are definitely present, but basketball is definitely, I would say, top one out there.
Okay.
The one that garners the most attention, I would say, is basketball. But the other sports are definitely relevant. But, yeah.
Do you think like Rucker Park being on the East Coast and just like Madison Square Garden, all that gives you a little bit more basketball aura?
Absolutely. I definitely would say that. Just the feel of being an East Coast basketball player it's around you so much that it's hard not to kind of fall in love with it and kind of get that passion for the game that you see all the historical players have when they play at Rucker and Dykeman and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, so you told me a little bit about your background. For people that don't know, what is your family history like? Brothers, sisters, parents?
I got two younger brothers. One is 23, about to turn 23 in October. The other is going to turn 19 in February. They both play basketball as well.
For sure.
My mom and dad, my mom played JV basketball in high school. My dad played high school basketball and football and ended up going to college, Division I Rutgers for football. So got a pretty athletic family.
Yeah, so with him playing football, did you ever think about playing football, or it was just like, nah, I just love hoop too much?
I mean, I actually played both. So I played football and basketball growing up. I ended up choosing basketball around the age of 13, 14 because I had more of a love for it. But I played football and basketball growing up. So It had an impact on me for sure.
All right, and then what was the family battles? Two brothers. I had two sisters. Mm-hmm. Once I beat my sister, it was over with, right? Yeah. So it never got to play anybody else anymore unless it was like a friend or cousin. So what are the battles like? I'm sure you guys still battle to this day.
Yeah, we battle to this day. It's a little bit more competitive now. Obviously, I'm a lot older than my brothers, so that age gap was there, so they didn't really have a chance. But the older they got, they give me a little trouble here or there.
Yeah. But then you put them in place.
Yeah, for sure. I got to do that. I'm the oldest brother. I got to.
For sure. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about high school basketball because I feel like since we talked, your game was different in high school than what it is now. So, talk to us a little bit about how high school Jamir was playing the 1 and 2.
Well, high school Jamir, I feel like I was less experienced coming into that position in 8th grade. I played mostly combo guard, mostly 2, to be honest. And then I had to transition into being able to play with the point, handle the ball a little bit more, run the team. So it was a learning curve, but I was able to, get into high school with the great coaching, great staff, and be able to learn very quickly. So It was good.
So who do you think shaped your high school career the most? Would it be your high school coach, or was it an AAU or a trainer maybe?
I would say my high school coach and my trainer. My trainer definitely had a lot of impact on me developing my confidence even more so than where it was at. My skill level, allowing me to understand the concepts of when I'm going to get my shots, how fast I need to be in certain movements, stuff like that. My high school coach definitely had an impact on me, giving me the hardest level of coaching that I've had. Understanding that if I can deal with his coaching, I can deal with anybody's coaching going forward. So he taught me a lot about the game on both ends of the floor, offensively, spacing, defensively, being in the right position, communicating, how important it is to be vocal and to be a leader as a guard. So he taught me a whole lot, and I'm definitely appreciative for everything he taught me.
What's his name? Give him a shout out.
Coach Chavanis, Chris Chavanis, and also Mike Rice.
Mike Rice. All right. So, now as we go to transition to college, talk to us a little bit about the recruitment process. Who was on you tough? Who do you wish talked to you more? Like, where'd you see yourself about junior, senior year?
The recruitment process went very well for me.
Yeah.
Freshman year, we played in like a bunch of big time events. We traveled to Cali to play in Torrey Pines, California. The City of Palms Classic, played in that as well.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of attention early my freshman year. I had, interest and offers from like Wichita State, Alabama, USC, Creighton, schools like that. And as my high school career continued and progressed, certain schools started to fall off, but more started to, stay involved with me.
For sure.
As I got to my junior, senior year, the University of Minnesota, they were there. Stanford as well was there. UPenn, Princeton, amongst a few others, mid-majors and high majors as well. But it turned out that, I made the right decision for me. I come in the University of Minnesota as my senior year in high school, going into my freshman year of college, and I thought it was best. But the recruitment process was fairly, I would say, challenging, just having to stay focused, having to stay locked in on the task at hand, which was being the best basketball player I could be and winning games with my team. But outside of that, the process was pretty smooth.
All right, so you get to Minnesota, you step on campus. What's your first challenge when you get there? Because that's far away from home.
Yeah.
Right. So what's that process
I would say my first challenge would definitely have to be just the level of physical training as far as like lifting and stuff like that. They had like army weeks, they would call it like hell weeks, where we do all kind of different strenuous lifting exercises. That was kind of new to me, but with my work ethic and my determination, I was able to pick it up fairly quickly and fit right in. Outside of that, just playing with older guys, you go from being a senior in high school, being the oldest guy, to playing with guys that are 4 or 5 years older than you. So as a freshman, that was a bit of an adjustment. But outside of that, it was pretty easy to fit into the hard-working, landscape and environment that was there.
Right.
So yeah.
So then Minnesota, you transfer from Minnesota. Where do you go after that?
So I transferred from the University of Minnesota to go to American University in Washington, D.C. For one reason or another, it just wasn't the right fit in Minnesota after that first year, and I thought it would be best to, move elsewhere to try to, progress my game and pursue the rest of my career. So I went to American University, and it was a great move, great decision.
All right, anybody shape your time while you were at American?
I would say my head coach, Mike Brennan, along with my best friend, Saeed Nelson, and my other friends who are my closest friends to this day, Marvin Bragg, Justin Perez, and Stacey Beckton Jr. Those guys definitely made me feel at home there. The bond that we developed on and off the court kind of shaped my career there, the 3 years that I was there, so yeah.
All right, and then after American, where do you go?
After American, I decided to transfer back home to Jersey to play at Seton Hall University. So major Division I in the Big East, and in Jersey. I just wanted to play back home and, finish off my career back home. That meant a lot to me. I'm a hometown guy, so I thought it was the best decision to go back home and play.
Yeah, so me, growing up in the Midwest, I see like UConn, Seton Hall. These are teams I used to play U of I versus them on the video game, March Madness.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Big East basketball, that's where some blue bloods in there. So that's big time basketball. What was the toughest thing about playing there?
Throughout the entire conference, I kind of feel like you got that East Coast gritty feel.
Yeah.
The games were tough. A lot of them were low scoring because they were such physical battles. So that was the most fun but challenging thing to know that, every night in, night out, no matter how talented a team may be, if they're more talented than yours, it's going to be a dogfight. Because that's the type of league we were in. And yeah, that East Coast grit, you felt that through every team. So. All
right. So 3 campuses. Now, some of you guys might not know, but the most important thing on campus is the calf. Yeah. Who had the best calf out of all 3 of them?
I would have to say probably Minnesota probably had the best.
Minnesota? That's what I was thinking.
They had the highest level, facilities. The cafeteria was solely for athletes. They had one solely for athletes, so it was kind of top notch and high level. So I'll have to say.
That sounds like good treatment, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great treatment.
All right, so great college career, finished up real well, and then what happens? You want to go pro, of course, but what happens in between your last year and then your first professional year?
Well, my last season of college at Seton Hall, I had injured my shoulder in a game. I believe we were playing against UConn on the road, I believe. I dove on a loose ball. Someone dove on top of me, and I tore my labrum. So, I was able to get through the rest of the season. However, at the end of the season, I decided to get surgery. I got surgery, and I had to recover. So around November time, I was fortunate enough to have an opportunity to go overseas and play my first year in Portugal. And I was able to do that.
All right, so talk a little bit about that too. Did you get an agent before you went overseas? How was that process like, trusting an agent to help you find something, especially while you were injured?
Yeah, it was definitely difficult. I trusted in the resources that I had. My close friends that, were with this agency, and this particular agent was able to give me, good advice and good feedback on him. So, and he was interested in me. So, with those two things, I thought it would be good to give him a chance, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing you just keyed on, is that relationship. He had prior relationships with people that you had relationships with, which builds a little bit of trust. But then also when he was starting a relationship with you, there was things that you could identify. You're like, okay, yeah, I like the way he goes about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just seeing how he interacted with them and the good feedback I got from them. Once he started, dealing with me, obviously it's a person by person basis when it comes to agent. But my first year, he got me into a position that I was able to thrive, and I'll forever, respect and appreciate him for that. And that developed a trust between us two.
Okay.
Him being able to take me from fresh off of surgery, looking for somewhere to go, to get me into a situation where I was able to thrive. That was all the trust that I needed from him.
All right, so then first year Portugal, second year start off in Lithuania, then head to Estonia, right? Talk a little bit about that transition, and then what you liked about both of those places.
The transition from Lithuania to Estonia was difficult, just having to learn a new system, learning the new coaching style, the play style, learning new players and their tendencies and how to fit in with that. That was somewhat difficult. But once I was able to get used to the players and get used to the new environment, I was able to fit right in. I enjoyed Lithuania. Very, very high level basketball. I believe it's like a top 4 league in Europe.
Right.
The level of basketball there is insanely high. I learned a lot. I was able to definitely get stronger in my time there, and just see a different level of basketball that I knew I was prepared for. It was a very, very fun time over there. However, due to, certain reasons that I wasn't able to really be my true self or play to the highest level of my ability, I thought it was best to go elsewhere to try to find that opportunity. And that's why I went to Estonia. And it was a great decision. I was able to make some close friends there, play in an environment that I felt super, super supported by the fans, the staff, my teammates, and it was a great move.
Yeah. And I'm not a coach, I'm a trainer, developer, I help, right? So I can say, the coach wasn't letting him rock out, all right? So if you're a coach, make sure you let your star players, your point guard, let them rock out, all right? But you had a good season and you were killing, right? Talk a little bit about the setback that happens once we get towards the middle or end of the season, almost the playoffs.
Yeah,
right?
it's towards the end around the playoffs. So unfortunately, similar to my senior year or my last year of college basketball, injuring my shoulder, I had injured it again in Estonia. Happened to be, the other shoulder, and I was playing really well, as Herm said, and I was able to, be really effective. I was finding my rhythm, approaching playoff time. However, I had ran into a screen earlier in the season, had some issues with my shoulder. As the season progressed, it started to slip out more and more. And at some point, it happened in a important cup game that we had, and it slipped out and it stood out for about 15 minutes before it slipped back into place. So the organization advised me to go get an MRI and really see what was going on. And, I had to get, a major procedure done. And that's where I'm at now, being here, back in Springfield, recovering and getting back.
So let's talk about that recovery process, because a lot of people can get injured, especially as professionals, and be like, well, that's it, I'm done, right? And they can throw in the towel.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're putting in the work, you know, I know you're big on calisthenics.
Yeah.
You were doing those as far as your doctor would allow. You're doing physical therapy, obviously in the gym, working up to full contact and all that stuff. So talk a little bit about your mindset through that. You know, you post like the daily quotes and everything. So what motivates you to do those type of things?
Well, I mean, you know, my mindset kind of stems from, you know, I feel like growing up playing basketball particularly, I've always been doubted. I've always been somebody that considers themselves an underdog, no matter how much success I may have. So on top of just having a true passion and love for the game of basketball and not wanting to let it go, you know, I don't let anything that comes my way or happens to me stop me from getting to being able to play. So, you know, having the setback of an injury, you know, I kind of just had to come to grips with, look, this is the situation you're in. Do everything you can to get back. You know, you're going to have ups, you're going to have downs, but just keep your head down, stay focused, and work hard like you would any other time. So I think a mixture of just having that grit and that determination of myself and taking pride on my work ethic, to not be outworked, whether I'm injured or not, along with just being able to understand that, you know, it happens to everybody, but it's about how you come back from it. You know, like Herm said, not being able to just sulk and throw in the towel. That's not the type of guy I am. So that's that. As far as like motivational quotes and things like that, and I have this saying that I always say, keep going. I feel like that could just go for anybody in any walk of life, you know, whether it's sports, day-to-day life, you know, you're going to your 9-to-5 job, you know, things are going to get hard. Things are going to get tough. And even when you're having your most positive and successful moments, you got to keep going. You can't get complacent. So that's really why I say that a lot.
Yeah, I see a lot of talented, successful people, when they do reach their goals, they do have that moment to be like, well, I got here with help, and I know who to give the glory to, like myself. You know, got to be thankful to God for getting me in that position, and then thankful to all the people around, because that's really also God put those people in your life to help you get there. So before we move on to some off the court stuff, the next team that you go to, tell them who Jamir Harris is and who they're going to get on their squad.
Jamir Harris is a player that is, you know, very, very hardworking. He's very, very dedicated, wants to win, and wants to do whatever's best, you know, for the team. I'm somebody that wants to be able to give my all, you know, to the organization, to the teammates that I'm playing with, be able to showcase my ability. And, you know, I'm somebody that's going to work. You don't have to worry about me not working or not being the first one in the gym last to leave. That's my calling card, and I'll be willing to bring that to whoever wants to take me.
For sure. Yeah. So waiting on that one, but we know you'll get that, and in the due time, I know you do some things off the court. So one, you have a brand, and then two, you do music, right? So let's tell people your brand name, and then also tell a little bit of people about your music.
So we have the brand called THW, stands for The Humble Way. Me and my brothers and my mom, dad, and my entire family, we kind of have this approach to our work, you know, and it's to stay humble, keep your head down and work. So, you know, not to be arrogant, confidence, yes, you can have that, but just having that understanding of, you know, I have to be humble with all the success that I have, all my failures as well, keep my head down and work. So that's the brand that we have.
All right, and then the music.
Yeah, the music, I've been singing since I was a kid. You know, my dad, you know, he sings a lot too, you know, all around the house. That's where I got my voice from. He don't be wanting to sing in front of people and all that, but, you know, he can sing. And I always just loved music. You know, I was in the choir when I was younger, around 8, 9, 10 years old, just singing around the house, singing in the showers. And then when I got to about the age of 17, 18, you know, I thought about, you know, I was like, maybe I should make a song. You know, I sing all the time, why not? So around the age of 20 is when I really locked into it, started singing and making songs, and I haven't looked back. And on top of that, I used to write poetry a lot, so I would have a good way with words and being able to make things rhyme, and I really took pride in that and enjoyed that. So yeah, when it came time to make music, it kind of was just a natural thing for me.
So you got like an R&B feel, soulful feel. Let them know what's the stage name, and that they can find you on like Apple, Spotify. Or
so you can find me at JayReal, JayReal. That's my music name. I got R&B stuff on there. I got some rap stuff as well. I got a few songs with Spanish in there as well. So, try to be versatile.
Yeah, show it all,
Yeah,
right?
show everything, So, yeah, JayReal.
All right, so covered the on the court, covered the off the court. Is there we talked about the quote of the days that you do and the devotion that you have, but is there any mindset or motto that you would like to share with people, or any lasting phrase that you want to share?
The one quote that I would say would have to be, amidst the darkness that you may have in your life, all you need is a little bit of light to keep you going. So find that light wherever it may be, whether it's in a loved one or a family member or something that you enjoy. Just find that light and it'll propel you forward.
All right, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this has been another episode of the Good Enough 2 podcast with Jamir Harris. Jamir, look in the camera and let them know.
My name is Jamir Harris, and I'm good enough too.
Sir, appreciate you.
My God.